welcome to Psalm 49. I'm doing something different here to start out on the page. Let me first say that the page has been prepped with gesso, and I did just put a piece of wax paper behind the paper. I know there's lots of ladies out there that have you buying things to put behind your pages, and craft mats and stuff. And the thing is a piece of wax paper will work absolutely fine and give you what you need. So no need to spend lots of money on page protectors, as you're working on a page. So what I did was I laid down that water. Because in my head, the way that I see this picture coming out is that I want the background to be almost like a cloudy, kind of moody, glory kind of thing. So I wanted the colors to mix and mingle as I'm laying them down, so I don't have to work at it. And the water will do that. If I put down the water first, it's called a wet on wet technique, and the water will the paint will mix and mingle, and I don't even have to work at it. So it does take just a minute to dry though. So you see, I usually don't lob on a lot of paint on my pages. But this is a pretty wet page right now. So it does take me longer drying. You'll see that the dryer's out a lot more on this particular page than usually. So I've got the first layer down, and I forgot who commented that, my gosh, I had paint all over my house when I splattered, tapped the paintbrush and got the paint splatters. That was me putting my hand there to protect the page opposite. You could also just use another piece of wax paper and sort of isolate the one page you're working on so it doesn't go everywhere. Now this is just the first layer, and I am going to build it up. It's not nearly as dark as dramatic or is that I see it in my head. So but you got to start somewhere. So I'm going to dry this out, and it really does take a skinny minute to get it dried. You can see the paint down there pooling and just moving around. I had a really hard time on this psalm trying to find a picture. Sometimes the longest part of the process is just designing the spread or the picture for the week. So when it's all about like death and decay and the defeat of enemies, I really struggle with finding the picture, because for me personally, I always want to sort of dwell on the promises of God, not that death and defeat, and not defeat, victory. Yeah, I don't know. So I always try to find the promises and journal them. And this one took a little bit to try to work that out. But I do feel like that my words, my mouth will speak wisdom, and my heart will have understanding. I think that is beautiful. That if when we do speak, that we speak, we pause and reflect, and we speak with wisdom. And a great understanding, and that our heart has understanding. So I love that. I did love that part of it. The rest of the Psalms, I did struggle with it. What do you guys think about that? Is it hard for you to come back in and try to journal on some of these darker Psalms that are really sort of just dark in general? I don't know. I'd love to know your thoughts on it and how you come to what you want to journal and what you want to dwell and reflect on for the week. So I am completely digging the pink and orange combo right now. I think I go through phases, and right now pink and orange is high on my list of favorite colors. So I told you, that kind of moody glory kind of clouds to be around her. So I'm adding in a darker orange and just kind of trying to pop it up a little bit and pop up that background. So again, lots of water, and it will all have to be dried back out again. Here, I don't want to have any kind of hard edges of the color stopping. So I'm just using a brush dipped in water and spreading out that watercolor a little bit and just softening it. And I love how it's starting to look almost like a smoky glory clouds or something, descending upon her, on her head there. So this video does take so much so much time to dry. So, but I could have edited it out, but I really want you guys to see that the drying is as much a part of the process as the painting is. It is just as important as laying down the color. It's just as important as the drying. It can't be rushed. You have to take the time to get the page dry. If you don't get it dry, when you put on the next layer of watercolor, it's just going to get lost in the water. If you put on too much water and you just keep on going, your pages are going to wrinkle like crazy, and it's just not going to have that flat look. You can sort of see my Bible that all the pages remain kind of flat. There's lots of medium that go on. I mean, it starts with a layer of gesso. Sometimes there's absorbent ground. Then there's the watercolors. Then there's colored pencils. So there's lots of mediums that go on my pages, and they don't buckle and they don't wrinkle because I take the time to dry out everything in between. So I know I stress that every week, but truly, that's the secret. That's the secret. And you just saw how long I just dried for, and then I blotted. So, okay, enough said about drying. So my, I have a love-hate relationship with clear gesso. And today it wasn't so bad on the background, but when I start coming in to do her face and her hair, I'm dealing with that whole pilling thing again this week. It's just it's not working well. And I found that if you heat up the gesso, that it does take the paint a little bit better. But there were just places in here where it just was not. There was just nothing I can do to get it to take the paint. So I don't fight with it anymore. When I get on, it always seems to be that it's on the left side of the page. I don't know why that is. I don't know. That's interesting. But it's always on that side of the book that this happens with. But now I know this is that if that's going to start happening and I'm going to have to start fighting with the watercolors to stay down, I'll just use a color pencil. There's no sense in stressing out about it or trying to get them to do something. I can just come back in and pop in with a color pencil. So that's what I kind of know. In the back of my head, as I see it, I can't even get the paint there to take. And that's because I do have a heavy graphite. If you draw very heavily, your paint is not going to go over that graphite. So, but I really wanted that top lip to be pronounced and shaded in. So I'll come back in with a colored pencil and pop that in as well. So you see that where I've drawn, the watercolor does not really cover the graphite pencil. It sort of pills right over it, almost, if you will. So that's why I do all my drawings in the graphite so that you guys can see the drawing down. But usually the best thing to do is draw with a watercolor pencil or a colored pencil that will sort of just fade back into it as the drawing comes to life with color. So I'm trying to dry that face really well in hopes that maybe I'll be able to get the color to stay down for her, but it's sort of futile. It's not working, but I don't know. It's fun. So you do see me drying once again. You'll see now as I come in to do her hair next that I really am struggling with the pilling that's going on. When you get to a place where the page is not accepting watercolor, so you saw with that first layer of pink, we didn't want to sit down on top of that graphite at all. So you dry really well, dry that paint down onto the graphite, and then come back in with another color, because it's almost like that paint that you just put down gives a tooth that the new layer can adhere to. So it truly is just taking your time and really laying one layer at a time, bringing the picture to life. So here you see that the pink that I'm coming in with is basically kind of the same color that her face is, and that's not what I want. It's just my first layer. So always thinking about building up the layers. Start light and kind of work your way up to the darker layers. You don't have to come in with the darkest color straight off the bat, because then where do you go from there? Like, how are you going to build up all the nuances of the shading or the hair or So just remember that you work in stages, you work in layers, and build up, build up, build up, slowly, slowly build up. Here I don't know if you can see. Can you see how there's just dots all in her hair? See that? Like, yeah. So I just, right at this point, I'm thinking, okay, it's fine. We'll just pop in with colored pencils. So isn't that crazy? So that those little pieces of hair that are behind her head are going to be darker on a profile. Those are going to be the darker pieces of hair because they're in shadow. And that little piece of hair that's winging around in front there, that's going to be darker because it's coming out from underneath. So, and again, I'm going to have to come in and do more with the colored pencils, but it's getting there. It's starting to, come together. Be careful on how you do the hair, because if you lay in, see, if I were to stop right there, it would just look sloppy and not put together. So be careful in how you do her hair, because you have to think when you do hair in sections. Don't think about the whole head and doing like a helmet. Think about taking like just sections of the hair and working on sections of the hair. Make it be, do you guys remember, like, I don't know, way back when we did the ocean waves, and we did them in little pieces? Hair is kind of like that. You have to put it down into manageable pieces, because then you can find out what's behind what and where your shading is, and it just makes this puzzle of this helmet hair come down to a place where you can put your details in and add your lights and darks and your shading. So right now, that is for me like nowhere near done. That is just that's just a first layer. It has no depth, it has no shading, it has no nothing in it yet. Her head was too long, so here I'm just adding in a little bit of background color so that it sort of doesn't make her head look like, I don't know, she's got this like big old brain. So still not giving up hope that I can get more color laid in, that it will take and it will stick on that, because it's dried, so in theory it should take a little bit more color, but it's really fighting me every step of the way in laying in that color. So I have to do the colored pencils. There's no way around it. So always never give up. There's always going to be a stage in your piece where you don't like it or you feel frustrated. Just keep going. This is not about anything but that bringing those two the right and left brain together and interacting with scripture in a whole new way. So don't get frustrated. I know that's easier said than done, but always just have fun with it, and I give yourself grace on whatever it is that you're working on. That whatever it is it's meant to be, it's perfect. It's just perfect because it's a visual representation of a conversation you're having with God. Like, it can't be bad. So don't get lost in the what does it look like. Get lost in the conversation more than anything that's happening on your page. Get lost in the conversation that you're having with Him. So you saw that I laid in a little bit of a shadow there on her face, just to bring it back a little bit and let her hair sort of pop. Here I'm bringing in her little lips and knocking them up a little bit. The bottom lip that little piece of the bottom lip does catch a little bit more light than the rest of the lip. So I leave that little highlight on there so that it pops. Okay, so here, now watch, we've got the hair, and remember what I said, that we have to look at it in terms of sections, right? So right now I've just got this great big old, like, I don't know, helmet head on top of her head that we have to sort of address and knock down into smaller increments. So watch now how I'm going to start doing that. I kind of look at the paint that's already down, and I'm just going to enhance what's there with the lines of hair. So I didn't even think about it, honestly, when I was putting I'm going to move the camera down in just a second. I wasn't even thinking about it when I was laying in the colors. I was just laying in strokes of color. But now I can come back in and say, oh, okay, look, it's a little bit darker here, so let me put in some shadows. And then that, you see how, boom, that right away, that makes it look more like hair when I start dissecting it and bringing it down into smaller increments, not taking on the whole piece at a time. Come on, Lisa, move that camera down. I will. I promise I will. I'm not sure when, but I do. So at some point, the hair does not always fall in one direction. It goes from, falling one way, and then as it goes towards the back of the head, it's going to fall in a different way. So here I start doing the same thing of just taking it down into sections and putting in some shadows. It's not a big deal. It's just, it has to be separated out. All of that hair has to be sort of separated out. I wanted the picture to kind of be in overtones of pink, so I'm dropping in some shadows here with that the reddish kind of color, so that everything just sort of pops a little bit. I got some under her nose there. I think I'm going to come back in and put some under her lips. If I don't, I should, and come in under that hairline a little bit. So I don't know where I just went to. I think I'm trying to find the scripture. I'm off trying to find, oh no, I wasn't. I was getting a stamp pad. I still want I want that to be even more dynamic, that background. So this is using, they're old stamp pads. Gosh, I don't even know. It doesn't matter what brand you use, but so it's just an old stamp pad, and I'm popping up that color a little bit just so that it's got a really bold border, bold border around it, and then using just one of those smudgers. So if you don't have a smudger, you know what, you can use like a makeup sponge, just kind of smudge things out with that. If you put an ink pad down, use a makeup sponge to do it. Way cheaper than any of the Tim Holtz little tools, gosh, even use your finger. Just use your finger and smudge it out a little bit. So you don't have to buy all the tools in order to get the effect, So here I'm just taking a red. This is a straight up red, and popping in a little bit more shading behind her so she stands out some. And then I'm still not happy with that shadow. It takes me a minute to figure out what I have to do, but I'm still not happy with that shadow from her hair coming down on her face. But I think I get it now, what I want to do. So, and you see how that does now all of a sudden make it look just more realistic. So just fun what just a little pop of color and a little pop of colored pencils does. So here I have a lot of medium on here. The paint is thick because I put so much water on, and I put so much of the pads on, and like the ink pad on, like there's just so much on there. The marker is just not going to make it. Like right away, as soon as I get that word "my" down, I'm using the Kuretake calligraphy marker, and it's just, I know I'm going to lose the marker. It'll get eaten up by the paint. So I'm just trying to figure out what I'm going to do and what I'm going to use. I thought I would use a Bic Cristal pen, but I didn't want it to be shiny. So ultimately, I just grabbed a black colored pencil, and you see how even the colored pencil is not really wanting to go over the parts that are just so thick with the mediums. So but the black color pencil works well. It gives me the control I need. I had a lot of scripture that I wanted to write, so I had to kind of write a little bit small, so it gave me the control I needed, but get the opacity that I needed to get it out. So this one was sort of a fun one. I just needed to see there if it was going through to the other side. This one was sort of a fun one because I know that I've got a lot of folks out there that want to really kind of hone in on people and faces, and I thought this one would be a fun one because it's sort of that profile and a whole different way of seeing a face. So do check out the doodles over on Psalms Praise Heart Psalm Study. How to draw this little face is on there so that you can check it out and you can make her step by step. The pictures are there. There's also people that I know don't really want to draw. They just really want to kind of have fun with the process. So if you take the picture and just copy it into your page, trace it. That's great too. Whatever it takes to get you into a conversation with God, that's just fantastic. I do ask though that if you do use my designs on social media, or if you use them, on any social media, if you could just hashtag praise heart me, one word, hashtag praise heart me, so that I can see what you're doing. So that's Psalm 49, guys. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.